See if this actually works. We are live. Let's see. Are we actually live? Are we live?
How do I see how many people's
Up there, there's a little zero counter.
So wait.
I want to see. I'm going to check right now if it's actually live.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, we are live.
So wait.
I want to see. I'm going to
check. EB.
Okay, so I guess we'll just wait and see if somebody comes in here. And then we'll start talking. Unless you want to just start. What do you think? Should we wait? Maybe we should wait.
Give it a minute or so, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure.
We'll just, eat some yogurt. Where's it? Almonds. Oh, yeah.
It's my breakfast.
Oh, we got
there's two people.
two people here.
Hey, guys. Welcome in. Can you guys hear us okay? If you can, just post in the comments letting us know. Oh, it's weird. Smoky? Oh.
Smoky soy sauce flavor.
Mm.
Can you guys hear us okay?
Oh, loud and clear.
Loud and clear. Nice. Welcome. Who's calling me? Okay. Here we have Eugene. He's a rider in Vancouver, BC.
Yep.
And we are here because he went on a really long EUC ride.
Really?
A super duper long EUC ride.
Yeah, it was a long ride, yeah.
We used to think that, riding to Whistler, which is 200 kilometers or whatever, or 300 kilometers in a day is really long.
Yeah.
He went on a 4,000 kilometer ride.
Sure.
So he's going to kind of show us what he did, the wheels that he used, the modifications that he had to make, the camping gear and the setup that he had, and talk to us about the problems and trials and tribulations, I like to call them, and what you would do differently next time you do this again.
Sure.
So for anybody who wants to do a super long EUC ride, you got to watch this video for some inspiration so you can not make the same mistakes that Eugene made.
Sure. We'll talk about a lot of my mistakes then.
Oh, we got to talk about the good stuff too, but that's a given part,
Yeah, but most of the stuff you remember are all the hiccups and all that.
Yeah, the hiccups is all the learning moments. But he actually rode to a really, really beautiful part of Canada.
Yep.
And so the sights that you can see are absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So without further ado, let's get into it.
All right. So I guess we'll start with the pictures.
How long have you been riding, first of all?
I started in October 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 5 years?
Yeah.
Almost exactly, actually, to the day. It's your 5-year anniversary.
Possibly, yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Oh, and by the way, if you guys do have any questions or comments for Eugene, feel free to ask it below, and then we will get Eugene to answer them for you.
Yep.
So, what are we looking at?
So we are looking at a photo of the lovely wheel that you sold it to me at the end of August. I believe that was 25th of August. And I had to do some kind of memorable trip before the summer ended. So so I kind of started looking into doing some long distance riding. And I think it was maybe less than a month prior to this photo, I bought a Master Pro secondhand with all the mod that you need for fast charging and everything. And I started looking into long distance riding, but I just had very few experience compared to a rider like you or other, riders who've been doing a long.
I mean, you say that, but I've never done a 4,000 kilometer ride before. So I think at this point in time, you now have more experience than anyone I know going long distances.
Yeah. It was a lot of, it was a condensed learning experience, right? So, but you had to sort of work out your kinks and all that before you go on a trip like that, right? Because I didn't do any, Whistler rides with you. And the first I've gone was the Lighthouse or the Horseshoe Bay on my Sherman Max. And then as I got into the long distance mode, I have tried riding my Sherman Max to Hope and back from BC.
So how long is Hope?
I think it's 180 kilometers there and back, two charges to get there. And I went with my buddy George, who was on a Master Pro. But I didn't have a fast charger on me, so I had a very slow charging with my the Sherman Max, which was it was basically a disaster recipe for disaster, because I had to make George wait for like 2 extra hours for my wheel to charge, right? So I had some of that, and then I bought a Master Pro with the fast charging and stuff like that, and got into the car charging, the EV charging stuff, right, with the adapter.
The EV adapters, yeah.
Yeah. So I did 2 runs to Squamish there and back, just to do some sightseeing and / road long distance testing, right? And yeah, when you're on the road, like you just you gotta accept that reality of like you're all on your own to like take care of your problems, and if you get a flat or something else, I guess we could get back to the
So this is, I mean, like this is a GT Pro Plus, correct?
Yeah.
So this is 168 volt, 4,400 watt hours.
Yeah.
50 S cells,
50 S.
super high speeds.
Yeah.
You know, but you know this for this purpose, the speeds wasn't really a matter.
Oh yeah, you had all this power lurking under you, like the same as the ET Max, right?
Yeah,
that
correct.
was the biggest appeal for me. Like you can go fast if you wanted to, but you can go slow and nimble and have lots of range, for that matter, right?
Yeah. So what kind of modifications or things that you have to do to kind of prepare yourself for this trip?
Well, that was exactly the, can I give the actual name? Or
Yeah.
It was the butt plug mod, right?
Okay.
So
do
which
you have a picture of that?
calls for, yeah, just get a next one. The next one, actually. One more. There we go. Which looks like the this thing here, which Albert did the modification for me. Like I bought the wheel from him, maybe took it out for a test ride, brought it back to the shop, make sure I got this is for the fast charging, right? So the fast charging port called the butt plug had to be added to the machine so that I could stop at an EV charging station or use my Roger charger essentially.
So for those that aren't aware, and if you're in California, we termed the word butt plug because back when we used to install these, we put them at the rear of the wheel, and it was kind of like you're kind of plugging a butt.
Right.
But for those that don't know, other people call it the bypass. So it's like you're bypassing the typical charging routes that have the limitations, and allows you to charge on the road as quickly as your batteries allow you to charge.
Right.
So yeah, you can continue.
Great.
Yeah.
And I guess for the what sold me the wheel was its waterproof capability, and with the IP68 or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. And it had 2 ports at the back, which is the USB and a USB-C power delivery, which kind of eliminates the need for stopping at a wall plug if you had to like charge your phone or other things,
or your cameras.
Oh yeah, or cameras and stuff like that, right? So I have my camera rolling like basically all my working hours during these trips, right? So I had like three batteries for my camera, like just rotating and charging all the time, and to supplement that, I have just a normal power bank, which is good for like a full day of travel and all that.
So with the GT Pro, you don't need that power bank anymore. You still used it.
Oh, I use it because because the plug is on the machine, right? You don't want your expensive stuff hanging around on the wheel. So what I needed to do was have all this stuff charging in my backpack while I'm riding, right? So in an emergency, I run out of power on the battery pack and stuff like that. I could probably just plug it in and kind of sandwich it in there so that I can charge it while I'm riding. But for this trip, like it not having the need to stop at a wall plug or something to you could be on the road like longer, right? It's a value really to have while you're on the road for a long time. So anyway, going back, so I had the butt plug thing done, and for the trip I used 2 Roger chargers, V5 SC. Yeah, there we go. We played that clip here. So this was the first stop in Squamish.
So you charged for 30 minutes there, and then you're good to go?
Yeah, so most of the stops I made were in 50 to 60, maybe 80 kilometer increments, which kind of just makes the stop a little bit of a top up, not a full charge, right?
Got it.
So usually you're out of there in like 30, 40 minutes tops, really. But I had I didn't know about fast charging quite a bit. So as Albert, installed these the bypass thing for me, he put a fuse in there which was rated for like 30 amps.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I'm going, okay, I can charge at 30 amps, right? So I would use these two Roger chargers, plug it right in, and you get 30 amps charging, no problem, right? But the fuse couldn't take it. So that day I left Vancouver to I think I stopped at Lillooet, BC. I went all the way.
How far is Lillooet from here? Is it like 300 kilometers?
240 kilometers.
240 kilometers?
Yeah. So past Pemberton, you're in for another 80-kilometer ride. And then you get to a place called Lillooet. And and then I blew a fuse along the way, like as charging. So I couldn't charge at the night, right? And I didn't know what the problem was. So I had to like crack open the machine. And if we go back here. Right?
So also keep a note, like we had installed a fuse for safety purposes, of course, just to avoid any shorts or anything doing some damage. But what happened was, it's kind of disappointing, is that we installed a 30 amp fuse.
Yeah.
And usually there's a little bit of a buffer where it allows you to do 30 amps or allows you to do really close to it.
Yeah, it varies on the fuse itself.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
But what happened with this one is it actually not only blew the fuse, but the holder for the fuse actually got damaged as well.
Yes.
Which the holder shouldn't be damaged at the limit either. Like
Sure.
The fuse could blow and then it should protect everything else.
Yeah.
So it looks like that fuse holder wasn't really designed, I would say, properly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And first lesson learned, I guess.
That was the first lesson. Actually, if we go, this was a wrong clip.
So this is where you're trying to figure out the problem for why it wouldn't charge, right?
Yes. So this is another problem that I had was that I don't know what it exactly is. Like it's a controller board, some kind of like logic issue, right? So when I go to turn off the machine or put a kill switch on, it shuts down the motor. So when you go to balance it, it won't catch anything, but the board still stays on, and you can't turn it off.
That's what's happening right here.
Yeah, sorry, this is a different clip,
I see.
but so this is the procedure, right? You have to like take all those 12 screws out and then unplug, so you can access the power button again.
So you can reset the whole device, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of a mild issue that I ran into multiple times, maybe up to 5 times this entire trip. And whatever that happened there. Anyway, if you go forward a couple more clips, there's a picture of me. Oh, so that's backwards, actually. Go forward. At this night. Oh, sorry, that's backwards. Sorry. Yeah, that's when I blew a fuse, and I had to crack this holder open to get the burnt fuse out. But I guess the plastic kind of sockets in there and just melted the plastic really good. So I had to like take out a pair of scissors to kind of like pry it open.
I mean, the only good saving grace for this fuse holder, though, which I'm glad you had, was the fact that you could hold a spare fuse.
Yes, because at that time it was like midnight, and there's no Canadian Tires open at midnight, so I would have been shit out of luck for half a day maybe. Right?
I was sitting at home, and you told me that the fuse blew, and I looked at Christine, and I was like, "Fudge! I might have to go drive up to Lillooet to pick Eugene up."
Yeah, I'm glad this whole thing happened like relatively in an earlier stage. Because I think I called you from like somewhere else, which was like 16-hour drive.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, damn, I'm gonna go pick him up."
Yeah. So, but I'm glad I had all these hiccups like just early on, right? So I made it through, and so on the first day, I think I did like 240 kilometers, something like that. And then, but this problem kind of grew to be a little bit longer one than anticipated. So I'll probably feature this on my own channel eventually, but after I fixed the fuse problem with the extra couple hours, not knowing what to do, I just slept on the ground with my rug over me, not even a sleeping bag.
Oh my goodness!
Just out, right? So that was the start of my journey.
Sounds like a very rough start.
It was, and I almost felt like giving up, just going back home, right? Asked for a ride with you and stuff like that. But anyway, the trip continues, and as I got to like more scenic spot past, Pemberton, you're going into like middle part of BC, which was called Lillooet. Which
Do we have any
Right, but-
pictures of this
Yeah.
beautiful part?
if we go,
I think you need
we
to.
gotta go back. Could start here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very
There we go.
Wow.
That is Lillooet, BC. You don't see the river there, but right in front of this bank, there's a nice flowing river. So imagine like you take all the things you love about BC. You have a little bit of, the mountains, the rocks, I guess, rocky looking things, forests, rivers, a little bit of desert, all packaged in.
I don't think our desert is considered desert.
Not really, but you got a lot of dry, like really dry places, right?
Yeah.
Like that never, gets a decent amount of rain or doesn't hold a lot of water, so it becomes like sandy, right? So
Yeah.
I call that deserts, really. But anyway, Little was very, very beautiful, and all the out of all the frequently asked questions that I get, which was your favorite town? This
Mhm.
was it, Lillooet,
Okay.
BC. And but that was like the first morning I spent after voyaging on the road, right? And it was great. And then it got into like a lot of highway riding, all these winding roads through the mountains. Excuse me. Yeah, you got these like crazy
Wow.
straight roads, and then insane curves that you're just going like knitting through mountain until you get to like Kamloops, right?
Did you ever fall asleep when it was really straight roads?
Absolutely not.
Mm.
No, you're on your A game all the time,
Okay.
right? And this was just a random 7-Eleven Slurpee stop that I never actually done, but I was so thirsty in the middle of the desert, and I couldn't get drinking water because your pack is like full of stuff, and maybe you have like water bottles with you and stuff like that. Eventually, you run out until you stop at somewhere.
How heavy
Yeah.
is your backpack?
All things combined, it was 15 kilograms.
Okay, that's not
on
too
my
bad.
back. It's not terrible. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
not. Yeah, but it was a lot to endure because you have that thing on your back all the time
Yeah.
while you're riding, right? So
I mean, that's where the case is made for you to like for people who want to do longer rides to install
Yeah.
like saddlebags and stuff on their wheels,
Mhm, mhm.
so that they can like get the weight off the shoulders and put it onto the wheel.
Yeah, exactly. I think that would be one more thing that I'd look into consider doing for my next trip, and maybe just have the chargers. The real heavy stuff comes out of your backpack
Yeah.
and just attached to your wheel, so that you're not carrying everything. on
Yeah,
your back, right?
exactly.
So yeah, that would have been nice, but I kind of had to see for what it is, right? So
Yeah.
if you're like experienced rider, if you like to experiment with a lot of stuff, you could probably just kind of not untighten your back strap and rest your backpack right on your wheel, so you're not like you don't have the whole weight on your back all the time. That's like one technique that you can kind of pick up like as you go along, right? But still, you got a heavy backpack on your back. So anyway, so moving on. Oh, by the way, please post any questions if you like to comment any questions. If you'd like to ask, I'd be happy to answer you from this trip or anything in particular, I guess, to all the viewers. All right, moving on. So yeah, now getting into the Rockies, I think I should just touch on that. So after a little bit, I took a sleep night over at my cousin's place in Salmon Arm. I have a cousin there, right? And then I went straight to Jasper, towards Banff. Sorry. So from Salmon Arm to Banff, it's like you stay overnight in Revelstoke, and then Revelstoke to Banff was like it could be done in a day, but it's a long leisurely ride that you take with very, very far in between for EV charging stations. And this was probably one of the most nerve-wracking thing I've done like on this trip, which was getting from so Cache Creek. Anyway, so yeah, you go when you get near the Rockies, as it gets like national park around there, you're not going to see very many outlets out there. So the longest leg I've done was Revelstoke to, I believe that was Banff. Yeah, one leg you're doing like 80 kilometers, like straight up. And then you're in a mountainous highway, right? So you're probably going like uphill, downhill, like God knows what you're going through. But the GT Pro did have a phenomenal range with you could do like road cruising kind of thing comfortable. So maybe ranging from a speed of 55 kilometers per hour up to 75 kilometers. And then the realistic range is like 90 kilometers, I say, before you get beeps and get a little scary about how to find plugs and all that, right? But it was fine. And by the way, for scouting out all the charging stations, EV charging stations, even wall plugs, I use an app called PlugShare, and that allows me to map out all the potential charging stops. Maybe you scout out like a couple of locations in a town in a close proximity, so you're not stranded in case you get to an EV charging station and it's like out of service and you can't use it with like very minimal battery range left on your wheel, right? So all those like research has to be done, and yeah, this was very doable in my opinion. So yeah, and one of the I think this is where was it? The location was. I believe the location was close to getting to Columbia Ice Fields. Anyway, somewhere in Jasper Park, you have these. What is it? Oh yeah, so exactly the situation that I just explained was at this one particular stop, the EV charging station was out at this somewhere in the mountain, like activity center, like discovery center type stuff, right? They have like EV charging stations outside, but all those were out when I got there, so I had to like find a couple wall outlets, yeah, on in these like they call it discovery center, right? And it was a nightmare because you had to wait for 2 hours, whereas you could be out in 30 minutes, right? And if you add like extra hour and a half to your charging time, it kind of messes with your schedule. So that night you're like arriving somewhere like somewhere in between, and you got to just sleep there and get a charge for the night kind of thing, right?
So we have a question from Distortion 888.
Yep.
Did you ride seated most of the time to extend your range, or was there anything else that you did to maximize your range?
Very good question. I do ride seated for aerodynamics and comfort, and especially when you have a big heavy backpack on your back, you do want to go seated for sure. And because it's going to put a lot of extra weight for your legs to process for your entire trip. But yeah, and also mentioning aerodynamics, it very much helps to ride seated, because you're not like a refrigerator going through.
So what would you say is like the percentage of riding seated versus standing?
I say you wouldn't notice a massive difference if you're just riding normally, but if you're like in a high wind, tall wind situation, or even crosswinds, I say you save at least 10% of range when you go seated versus standing.
And then in terms of like the proportion for the whole trip,
yeah,
how much of the trip did you spend standing versus seated?
I say it was a good 80% seated and 20% standing.
Okay.
Yeah, that would probably be the realistic, because I do a lot of seated standing for like very
agility focused stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you need that, just agility really.
Yeah,
you do ride standing, but most of the highway rides, you just go seated, and it's perfect, right? Because you don't get tired too much as compared to standing, right? And was there anything else that I did to maximize my range? This is one thing I kind of do is when you see like a little bit of dips in the pavement when you're riding, and I treat those as pumps, like a pump on a pump track. So like a little bit of a depression on the pavement. I use that as an opportunity to, especially when you're up hills, to accelerate a little bit, so you can get a little bit more speed. You can catch speed for less energy, I say, instead of doing a full acceleration on a flat pavement. When you find these depressions, you can kind of pump it down, so you just add a tiny bit of speed when you're doing that. But I think it's a good technique to sort of, even just mentally, you extend your range.
Who knows? Maybe a lot of these things are just mental.
It is, but you're doing everything you can to like preserve
Yeah.
your battery life, right? And
Every watt counts.
yeah, it sure does. And I've done this in Thailand too, like when you're in a mountainous road and when you're going uphill, especially, like you have like all these like mountain highways that you're going over like 3 mountains, in one breath kind of thing, right? So you do want to save a lot on your acceleration and you want to get the most out of the road,
Mhm.
right? So instead of like treating these bumps and stuff like as nuisance, like you kind of learn to work with it sometimes. So that's kind of like the two things I do. So one seated riding all the way, like there's no question about it. You got to go seated, unless you can't do a full 4,000 kilometers standing. I would be a mess at the end of it. Yeah.
I mean, at least your legs would be a mess.
Yeah, like I could have a torn ligament or whatever. Like, anything could happen health wise. And then all these like little bumps, treating these things on the road for maximum efficiency, if you will. And anything else that I do maximize range? Yeah, maybe not going too fast at all times, I think.
So what would you say is your ideal average speed?
I kind of experimented with it. With the Master Pro is like 55, but I think the GT Pro has like a good 65 kilometers per hour like sweet spot there, I think. And if you're going over 70, it seems like it burned a little bit more energy than required, I think.
Okay.
So 65 is a good speed, and you're feeling really good past 65 kilometers per hour. Right?
So 65 kilometers for the American viewers is like 40 some.
Yeah,
40, 41
50 miles. Yeah, 45 to 50 miles per hour.
No, I think 50 is 80, isn't it? So you'd be on like the 40 mile per hour mark.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
45 mile. And yeah, it felt great. Like, when you just needed that little bit of like, because if you go too slow and
it's boring.
you feel like you're not making progress, you just kind of need to like hype yourself up a little bit.
So what's happening in this photo here?
So this is the 2 wall plugs. This was the only charge stop, the necessary charge stop that I had to do with 2 wall plugs. Took me 2 hours to fill up because this was an 80-kilometer leg to get here. I was just scouting out because also
how did you know that those 2 wall plugs are in different circuits or not?
I didn't know until I plugged it in. So I was hoping it was on a different circuit. Maybe it had like labels on it.
So how many amps are you pushing per charger there?
8 amps.
Oh, 8 amps. So you're just lucky that it is on 2 different circuits.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Okay.
So, but I think
so if you weren't, you'd be pretty screwed too.
Well, there was the
wall ones, yeah,
and it looked like it was on a two totally different circuit. So I was just kind of risking it for this other pair. So, but at the same time, I was kind of scouting out if it was doable to like do a group ride like through the same route that I did. And this one particular stop, in particular, was it was tough. Like because that EV charging station was out, it was a BC Hydro one. And it was going under maintenance, something like that. It was out, right? So I had to go into buildings. So maybe if you do on this charge stop, there was like a couple of wall plugs outside, but they were like so far apart from each other.
Out,
maybe like 15 feet. To get a pair, right? So maybe if you had like extension cord with you, 4 persons. And if the EV charging was working, maybe 5.
I don't know how many crazy people you'd be able to pull into this 4,000 kilometer ride with you.
Maybe if it wasn't a different circuit back, maybe to just go see the Rockies and back. That would have been just maybe 2,500 tops. But yeah, the added the Calgary and Edmonton trip was just a little side quest, really. So,
yeah. I mean, you're already there, so
might
as well.
And yeah, I guess that was the whole purpose. The whole purpose of my trip was to get to Jasper, right? That was the only thing, right? And I didn't really have anything planned afterwards. So I had a choice of either turning right, going west to Edmonton, or east to Edmonton, or west to Prince George, and then back down the same route. But I just wanted to make it memorable, so I wanted to cross the border to Alberta, and then to Edmonton, and all that, right? So
I mean, now it's on a milestone checklist. You're like, I rode to Alberta.
Yeah,
which just sounds more cool than just like I rode to Banff.
Yeah, or Banff for like 4,000 kilometers because people do like 6,000 kilometer reviews and stuff like that. So all that number is not very interesting. But let's say I was on the road for 30 days, right? That's like these are like a new category of riding. I guess we try to call it roaming, right? Because you have everything in your backpack and you're hopping from location to location and potentially doing a massive loop around in the country or going somewhere, crossing country borders and all that.
Yeah.
So this was a more of a experiment in roaming in Canada, right? Versus if you're in the United States, you probably have potential charge stops every 30 kilometers.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah, like there's more well planned out infrastructure.
Yeah.
In the U.S. due to the number of people.
Yeah.
But with the very lack of population density between major cities in Canada, things are very sparse and hard to find.
Absolutely, it is, and I saw just that.
Yeah,
like you mentioned. So, but
we have a question for Eugene Kile.
Sure.
Have you experienced any issues with the police on your trip?
Yes, I was pulled over in near Banff once. I think this police officer was very kind of him. He was more curious about my setup or what I was doing than trying to give me a lecture. But all at best, all I got was a warning from the police, and that was in Banff. Yeah, it's a highway to get to Banff. Like, it was on I was on the number 1. So there's a lot of police cars around. So, but yeah, was he telling you to get off the highway, or he kind of mentioned it, but at the end of the conversation, he said, "I'm going this way, and you're going that way, right?" And I'm like, "Yep." And then he kind of watched me take off, and I think I may have been, better off to give him more action because he probably didn't give it crap. All that, right? But I took that warning as took to my heart, right? Because I was on number 1 highway, which is the busiest highway you can get in Canada, essentially, right? So, and I found there was you kind of go through like a little bit of a crescent to get to Banff from that place where I got pulled over. But there was this Forest Service road which cut the distance by like 20 kilometers to get. Oh, is that this road that's on the picture here? Yeah, that's exactly where I ate shit. So. So I took this Forest Service road from this place where I got pulled over by the police. Got that's a mud. And it was a lonely 40 kilometers. Oh wow, maybe 30, something like that. But it was one of those roads that you would call a overlanding roads, right? And like hardly anybody passed by. Maybe I saw one car that was like some worker from the nearby area, but I was on my own for the 30 kilometers going through this mountainous roads, I guess. And yes, the street tire did not hold up very well to the mud, and I ate some mud right here. You mean you saw the mud, you took a video, then you're like, let's go through it, and then you ate some mud? No, it was after I'd gone through it, and this is afterwards. Oh, okay. But I didn't capture it on the phone, right? So I'll capture it by my video, which is going under a heavy editing session with me. Yeah. Anyway, so but other than the mud, you're okay to do 30 kilometers if you have the range into Forest Service roads, because you can, right? If you can, if you've done enough trails, technical rides, like say, maybe a little bit of mountain bike trail. Yeah. You can take all these technical stuff on the roads. So we have a question from Distortion. Were you concerned about your safety riding on the highway? Was a concern. The only thing that came into conflict of idea was whenever I get a warning and stopped by the police, they would tell me to take the lane on the highway. Right? Oh, what? Instead of the shoulder? Yeah, they told me to not to ride in the shoulders. Oh, which would be a nightmare to do, right? Because cars are doing 140. Maybe I'm doing like 65 tops. Yeah. And that speed difference. Oh my God. If you even if you're going, if you think you're going fast, cars are going faster and it's heavier than you, right? So I've always rode the shoulders. So when you're in the shoulders, you're kind of away from all the cars, right? So there is no safety concerns there. So, but yeah, sometimes maybe, so yeah, I'm sorry, going back. I feel that's kind of backwards for you to take the highway lane. Yeah. Like, I feel like you're so small, and then if you're going 140 as a driver, that's sketchy as heck. So I'm like, what are you talking about, man? Like, I'm not taking the lane. Right? I never said it. Yeah. I would never take the lane. Yeah, but one thing that scared the crap out of me was the air, whatever you call it, when there's like a truck passing you and leaves you with a stream of air. Yeah. So I find that even if you're on the shoulder, the truck air, for some reason, when you're doing like 70 around that speed, it just sort of resonates really good with the truck's air and it pulls you in harder versus when you're doing like 50.
Oh, wow.
Because it just passes you by and then kind of, you just left with the air to deal with. But if you're going like just fast enough so that the truck is like,
oh, so the time that you spend in the air is greater, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that was like the scariest thing. So that's when I decided I'm not probably not gonna do like anything like 70, like too fast around the truck to like match the speed would kill you probably.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had some scary moments there.
I never thought about that one.
It is. And I found this out through experience, right? So that was kind of like one safety concern I had. And now we're talking about like multiple, province highways, right? So BC highways versus the Alberta highways are a little bit different. And the Alberta highways, I had one concern, which was a lot of like big pebbles, like little, I guess they put the
debris
down, on the
it's like the anti-snow kind of traction things,
pretty much. But you see like hectic amounts of that on the shoulders, right? So which made it a little bit more dangerous to ride in the shoulders. And once I got to Alberta, past Jasper, and then going towards Edmonton,
that makes
the
sense.
roads get straighter, but you got more debris on the shoulders. So I wish I kind of took the lane, but still you have like these fucking, double 40 foot the container trucks just going like, and it's like dark, you're going straight, you're like hallucinating from all these thoughts about like wildlife crossing you, like you start to see all these things. It was scary. So like it was more mental than actual safety concerns, right? Because I never really got too bothered by potholes or all those things. As long as you're on a big highway, it's very well maintained. So you're doing fine. So and police, they would kind of stop you for what it is, unless you're being like really arrogant about your stuff or causing too much danger. You would probably get more than a warning probably. But as long as you're being courteous to other drivers, like staying the hell out of their way, that would probably do you good in the long run, more good than. So yeah, now you're up to like because if you're in the shoulder, you kind of like you're on at your own risk for avoiding potholes and all that. And you do see some of that like along the way, quite a bit. Like if you're covering like 4,000 kilometers of highway,
you're going to see a lot,
here and there. But one particular pothole that almost took me out was on the Sea to Sky Highway. There was like if you're riding on the shoulders, sometimes you have all these like I think it's a manhole cover.
Yeah, and then it goes down and up.
Yeah, the hole. So if you hit it wrong, you're gonna hit this exit, the pothole really hard, which put my feet out of place, and I got a horrible wobble at one point, which almost took me out on the Sea to Sky Highway, which I got out of miraculously. But other than that, everything else was fine. Yeah. So I think the sketchiest highway I've done on this trip was Sea to Sky Highway. Like
so for the record, that's a highway that goes to Whistler.
Yeah, from Vancouver to Whistler. That's the sketchiest one because you got like very little limited shoulder width.
Yeah.
And, oh my god, yeah. So but everything else was very leisurely.
So where was this photo taken? So
this was a photo in Golden. So this was the first night I've kind of camped out in the wilderness. So outside of I think there was a picture of right here. So just outside of the city town perimeter of Golden, you see these beautiful like riverbeds, if you will, right, with pebbles and stuff, which kind of looks like this.
So beautiful.
It is. So you wake up to a view right next to a riverside. You have a couple of mountains nearby.
So you just like pitch a tent, or you just put a sleeping bag on the rocks, or what?
I had a hammock on me,
but there's nowhere to hang a hammock.
There's a couple of trees off to the side, so this was just kind of like a scenic shot that I got. But yeah, I think I'll get more of that posted on my channel anyway. It wasn't even a sight to see, really. I probably look like a hobo, like right in between these driftwoods. I just find a place, And just a funny story. I guess haven't experienced much camping outside of my tent and all that experience prior to this. So all I had was a sleeping bag on me this night, and it was the dewiest night I've ever spent outside.
Yeah.
So it was really wet and really cold with no blankets, no sleeping bag
Oh my goodness.
outside. And I had no charge too. Like I don't know what I was thinking, but I was too tired after like 4 days of riding to getting to Golden here. And that was like after I did exactly after I'd done the 30-kilometer Forest Service Road. Right?
Mhm.
So I was really tired afterwards. So I tried to get some sleep, but I just couldn't help but fall in love with that riverbed, that view. So I slept there anyway, right? So I'll show you what the hammock looks like. So part of my gear was, where is it? There we go. So I bought my on this trip. I have got to purchase a sleeping bag much later, but this was at best my sleeping
Hammock.
setup.
Oh,
that I
okay.
had. So it's only a hammock, and I don't know if you slept in a hammock, but it's not really good for like night. Like those dews.
It's
that
super
were-
light. Yeah.
So it would kind of get wet through and everything. I woke up like soaked up
Oh,
in
jeez.
water and very cold. And I didn't
your
buy a
mic.
sleeping bag until I got to Banff, which when I got really cold, like to sleep outside, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
And so where was this
So-
one? This sleeping spot?
so this was not a sleeping spot, but it was after I'd done a really hardcore trail right next to a hotel in Lake Louise.
Okay.
So yeah, so this is
So
like
you're already in the pretty area of Banff already.
yes, exactly. But I think you get to Lake Louise before you get to Banff,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, when you get to the hotel Lake Louise, I can't remember what the name was, but I think it was like Emperor Hotel.
Mhm.
Call it. Right next to it, there's like a very technical, awesome, amazing trail. It's not a mountain bike trail, but it's kind of set up in a way that most people would just walk there, and they would make it really hard, like deliberately for bicycles. Like they would put like logs, like purposefully right in
Oh,
the
really?
middle of the lane, and yeah, and then some corners where supposedly any mountain bike guys would go fast, they would like plant all these rocks there to purposefully make the road look jaggedy to slow you down, right? And oh my god, I got the biggest perks of the mountain bike experience out of that. Like, it's probably unofficial as F, but it was a lot of fun. But anyway, so I got to the scenic spot after that ride. It's like a 9-kilometer trail that goes up a mountain up to another lake right next to Lake Louise, right?
Oh, that one.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
you've probably seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, and it's a long hike if you took it by
Dude,
foot,
that lake
right?
is so clear
Yes.
that like we took photos at the lake edge and then we came back to Vancouver
Mhm.
and we're looking at our photos and it looks like we're on a green screen.
Yeah.
Like the photos are so surreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I think it's not the next photo right there.
Yeah.
That one.
That's
Yeah.
Lake.
Is that lake? That's Marine Lake. Okay.
Morning Lake.
Wait, what did you do?
I think it's full screened. Yeah.
You're on the wrong app, Christine.
I feel like I should just add more videos in here. I don't know.
Yeah, so like look at clean that water is.
Yeah. So this was Moraine Lake. This is probably one of the dreamiest moment I've had. And prior, there's a little bit of backstory to this. Lake Louise, there's a town called Lake Louise, right? It's not a lake. Anyway, so when I got there, all of the EV charging station did not work.
Oh, what?
And all I was left was with the Tesla charging station, which I could never get access to. So I had to go to a hotel lodge, and they have like a separate building where all the the guests sleep, right? And there's like a vending machine corner they have, and I just lounged out there for the evening. And plus you're prone to like paying like $300 or $400 per night. And when you get to a certain place at midnight, just to pay $300 to sleep for a couple hours and to be kicked out, you don't feel like doing that, right? So you kind of learn to like sort of negotiate your way into getting a charge and a nap
Yeah.
at the same time. So I get to the lake, Moraine Lake, like 5 a.m. because I was just lounging out in this like vending machine place. And anyway, I didn't get a sleep before I got to Moraine Lake. So I just like take a nap at the most gorgeous spot. Not because I wanted to, it's just because from the lack of sleep. But oh my God, imagine this. Like it's 7 a.m. in the morning. The sun's just coming out. It's like lighting up all these beautiful like rock formations behind this crystal clear lake. You're tired as and you just want to take a nap, right? And then you just have this most beautiful nap for like a couple of hours. And then you're off to like a next location.
So where is this?
I think it's somewhere in getting to Banff. This must be the road to Banff.
I screwed something up.
Yeah.
See.
So Lake Louise to Banff was a beautiful route to take. Yeah, so I think it was that's like right close to Banff area, I think. But hear me out on this, right? You're fulfilling your dream that you had, like driving through Jasper, Banff, all this kind of stuff. It's so beautiful. But imagine like you experience that on steroids, right? You can stop anywhere you want, go explore anything that you can. Yeah. Otherwise, if you're on a car, you have to like walk. Maybe if you pack a wheel in your car, then it's a whole different story. But you just ride there without ever worrying about gas, parking, nothing like that. You're free to wander around. Maybe not really.
I mean, I think it's a very similar feeling to like, when you first start riding EUC and even in your hometown.
Yeah.
And then like your whole home city just becomes a different city.
Yeah.
Because now you've explored all these bike paths in different areas and stuff like that you've never seen before in your life. 100%. Because you wouldn't have seen it unless you had an EUC.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you do experience the I guess the town if you start town in a different perspective, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Did you encounter any bears?
I have not seen one bear on this trip.
Wow.
I have not. Like I was hallucinating to the point where I thought about bears so much, right? Because I worry about shit like this. Like I hallucinate, like literally when I see a shadow, it's like bear, like when you're riding, right? But I never saw one. Like
wow,
not even a peep of a bear.
I've seen bears even in just like the city limits here.
Yeah. I'm lucky I didn't encounter anybody. Yeah, absolutely not. And it was a ton of fun. So this was in Banff, just a pretty site that I kind of saw. I parked my wheel there, and
it's like you should take some marketing photos for Extreme Bull. So like desktop background worthy.
Yeah, I mean the trip gets better after Banff, right? Because now you're going through the Columbia ice fields to Jasper, right? Which is like even more right into the Rockies.
Yeah,
proximity. So
where's this?
This was just outside of Banff towards Lake Louise. So between for serious fun riders out there, the funnest ride I had was between Lake Louise and Banff. And this is a 60-kilometer stretch of just bike lanes, no cars. So they actually closed down an entire road and just kind of, goes through all the mountains from Lake Louise to Banff. And there's no traffic. You're probably doing like 60, 70, 80, maybe sometime hitting 100 on one of these like winding roads to get to Banff. And apparently this ride is one of Calgary riders' favorite rides.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So once they go to Banff, they can go past Banff towards Lake Louise. And I think I spoke with a few riders in Calgary, and they mentioned that ride exactly. And it was my favorite to do. So very beautiful. Mm-hmm. So this was on the way to Jasper from, I believe it was from Banff, right? And it was just a very scenic spot. You're going by like so many beautiful lakes, right? And you end up like taking like so many pictures, and because you can't stop, right? You're like you're high as fuck.
Dopamine overload.
Yeah. So you're like at some point it just kind of loses its meaning to like take pictures. So you're just like taking in like as a normal human being, I guess. But some scenic spots here and there. But I love to do a full story on this, like all the sceneries and stuff at another time, like on my channel. I'm not here to advertise or anything like that. But this was the photo as I got close to Banff or Jasper. When I got into Jasper National Park area, right? There's a sign up there, and there was a lovely couple doing a van life thing, and they were kind enough to take a picture for me. So
Oh, that's
if
cool.
you actually zoom in, you can see the Jasper thing.
Let's see if I can
sign at
zoom
the
in.
back.
Scroll. No, it doesn't do. Oh, nope. Okay.
Shift scroll or command scroll.
Nope.
Oh no.
It's okay.
But anyway, it says Jasper back there.
Oh.
Oh,
no.
and you can see the location.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, anyway.
Oh, that's a cool picture. Holy smokes.
So yeah, so from Jasper to Banff was a little bit of a stretch than I thought. So much so that I had to just limit my speed to make the
Okay.
range because there were so many hills going down. And you know this place, this area on the road called the Big Bend,
No.
where you have like it's literally like you see a mountain in front of you, but you have to like turn left and make a huge loop, not even like around a river or anything like that, but huge loop, and then it goes into a switchback.
Okay.
And anyway, all those things combined, you're maybe going like 90 kilometers in distance at tops, but all these hills scare the crap out of you. And I did not make it all the way to Jasper from Banff because it's impossible, right? Anyway, so I had an unexpected night at this place called Columbia Ice Fields,
Okay.
right? So it's an exploration park / like a bus stop.
This is Columbia Ice Field, right?
It is, yeah.
Oh,
it is.
okay. Okay.
So right in front of the Columbia Ice Fields, I think they call it the Discovery Center.
Yeah.
There's this nice scenic spot, right?
Oh.
So believe it or not, that Columbia Ice Field place has a hotel right attached to it, and it's the only place that has power because it's being produced by generators there, right? So there won't be any power lines going there. So you're like riding through like, literally like hundreds of kilometers of no power lines, no civilization,
just straight nature.
Yeah, like straight nature. So I actually stayed overnight in the Discovery Center, not at the hotel, but in their lobby, like literally where they line up to buy tickets. I was like, I have my sleeping things out there and slept until like 7 a.m. when people started coming in for the morning thing. So I leave early. Right?
Okay.
So I leave early. I get to the ice field to like take these pictures because you kind of have to.
Yeah, yeah.
You rode your wheel there. What are you doing if you didn't take a picture?
Exactly. So you just put your phone on a rock and put it on a timer, or did someone help you take that photo?
That was with the tripod.
Oh, tripod, I see.
Yeah, with the self timer. So that's probably my favorite photo of the entire trip because you're in an ice fields and you're in the glacier park.
Yeah.
Without a supportive vehicle, really. So an iconic moment for me. And then I spent the night in Columbia Ice Fields, and then it took a whole day. The rest of the ride was like maybe 103
Holy
kilometers.
smokes.
103 kilometers from Columbia Ice Fields to Jasper that I had to make with no power in between.
But that road looks so smooth.
Yeah, the road was very, very, very nice, very well maintained, and so yeah, you're going through all these like sceneries. Perhaps you might have experienced it through driving or in a car, but you're on an EUC and you're feeling all the air and the temperature change and all that stuff, right? So it was a very dreamy moment, and luckily I had the greatest weather.
Yeah, I mean, look at like the clouds and the blue sky and the sunset, like so dreamy.
It sure is. Yeah. So at this point in the evening, like you don't want to ride in the dark too long, right? So you start to like look for like camping spots and stuff like that. But as I got close to Jasper, I had to like just power through to get there. So it took me till like 10:30 at night to arrive there, and I had to like limit my speed at 30 kilometers per hour because I was.
Oh, so this is Jasper now.
Yes.
So for the record, before we get too into it, the city of Jasper just had a forest fire.
Yeah.
And it basically wiped out the whole city.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
A third of the town.
A third of the city.
But everything was down until like a month ago.
So it was a huge fire, and it destroyed a ton of like natural like history and everything in Jasper. It's unbelievably crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so this is a video of Eugene riding through parts of the city that had the forest fire.
Yep. Pretty much.
But you see like the buildings, these all used to be buildings, I guess, right? Like really big buildings.
Yeah, I think they came in and kind of scrapped it all out. But it was very eerie to see like, supposedly there was like a hotel lounge there and it's like all burnt to crisp and that was like, I think that's a kitchen there,
Oh wow.
right? So there was no walls or anything like that. Like,
Yeah.
it was just bare. Like everything was just burned, and all the cars. Yeah, it's like,
I don't
and
know why I'm getting like just looking at this video, I'm getting a lot of like Chernobyl vibes.
yeah, it really did have that kind of stuff. And for the record, I actually asked some of the locals there some questions about what happened.
Yeah.
And apparently the fire that took over the town was like 300 feet tall, flame fire
Holy smokes.
with 30 kilometers wind gust pushing it towards the town.
Oh.
So that would fucking toast everything, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I couldn't even like imagine like what these people had gone through, and all the stuff. Yeah, the buildings, car. If you were there would probably be no chance of breathing whatsoever. No escape from the heat. Oh my god, you'd be dead, right? So yeah, that was a pretty eerie sight. So I left Jasper a couple days. There was nothing there. Yeah. And Jasper, you see this.
Oh, this is the sign at Jasper.
Yeah. So now that I got to my destination, I could turn right to go to Prince George or
Oh, this was the turning point of
Yeah,
like, do
yeah.
I go back towards BC or do I
Yeah.
go into Alberta?
yeah, exactly.
Ah,
So
but Jasper is part of Alberta.
it is. Yeah, exactly. So
So you're already in Alberta, technically.
yes, I was in Alberta, but Alberta's, majority of the Alberta is the prairies, right? So
Yeah.
I had to go see some of that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I turned right to go.
Got
to,
it.
Edmonton. And
So what's going on here?
So as I parted from Jasper towards Edmonton, it started raining,
Uh-huh.
and so at 2,000 kilometer mark on the wheel, got to a place called
Edson. Never even heard of that city before.
Yeah, it's a smaller version of Edmonton, I guess. I just
Yeah.
stayed there because
it's the son of Ed.
because Jasper was burnt down. Like I couldn't get any hotels. Like all the hotels in the nearby town even like skyrocketed in price because
Yeah.
no one could stay in Jasper.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So I had to like go like 2-3 towns out to Edson to catch some sleep there. And I think I paid like $80 for a
For a hotel.
night for a hotel there. So which was good. Very, very good for me. And saved a lot of money. What's the next clip here? Oh, so yeah, this was you can turn the volume on.
This is the rest area.
Yeah. So this was a cool.
So many outlets outside.
Yeah.
There's one around back there, there's one here.
So just off to the highway, you have one of these. Right.
So if anybody wants to go on a long group ride, a very long group ride,
Yeah.
this is the charge spot for you.
Yeah, but this was like the only rest area that I saw. Right.
So we modified his charge board so that he did the bypass, or I call it the butt plug, in order for him to charge at higher speeds. So he could technically gone up to 30 amps, but we found out very quickly that at 30 amps it would blow the fuse and it would melt the fuse holder, although both were technically supposed to be rated for 30 amps.
Yeah, exactly.
You filmed the toilet? Okay, we're gonna stop the video there.
I don't have anything. But yeah, so here it is. Now I get to Edmonton.
Also, this is already Edmonton.
Yeah. I get to
Okay.
Edmonton. Can you believe it? You can buy pho for $12.
Versus here, it's like 16.
Yeah, I guess
17?
15 minimum, right?
Yeah.
Because this is in a supermarket, and
Oh,
they don't
okay.
pay tip or nothing like that.
Oh, they don't do tip in Edmonton?
It's a supermarket food court.
Oh,
Yeah, that's why it's cheap.
I see.
Yeah, maybe there was a lot that I covered in Edmonton, but being in Edmonton was so good. Yeah, you see the
Oh, you
Lights.
saw Northern Lights in Edmonton?
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah, so from here it kind of gets a little bit blurry, but this has the essence of what it's like to ride in Edmonton.
Oh, so this is like a bike lane, a very major bike lane in Edmonton?
Yes, but it gets better.
Oh, this is really pretty too.
Yeah, I think the, infrastructure-wise, they had really nice bike lanes.
Yeah.
but it wasn't really consistent because it would dump you right into like a residential
street.
area like this, and now you're hella confused, right? You don't know your way around, and like listening to your
GPS.
GP or the Google Maps
Yeah.
too efficient because I don't know, like I guess it's a car dominated sort of
area.
infrastructure, really.
Yeah, yeah.
So that it just takes you on a very awkward ride, or you just have to really like know where you're going, because sometimes all these like bike lanes would appear right in the middle of
Like a
right in
cul-de-sac?
between the house, right?
Yeah,
like right
yeah.
there.
Oh, and you're gonna
so-
go find out where the paths go, basically.
Yeah, or you have to like look at your screen like
Yeah.
all the time, right? So
So if you know, you know.
yeah, exactly. So and then roads get flatter because you're in the prairies.
This is the prairies, the area of
Yeah.
straight, long roads,
Yeah, and
and
that's-
nothing in miles away.
I mean, you would see a lot more civilization there because it's a lot of farmlands, right? So
Yeah.
you can kind of expect to see some people there
Okay.
and living there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
even in an emergency, I would have found any outlets,
Mhm.
any random house, probably if I really asked for help.
Yeah.
At that point, right?
But probably no
But-
EV chargers because it's an oil city.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yeah, you had to be in a sort of in a cluster of like in a community somewhere.
Yeah.
But sometimes you find like these odd finds, like very random, like EV charging stations at like say a golf club or something like that. Or
Yeah.
a golf course.
Somewhere more bougie.
Yeah. So after a couple of days, I get to Drumheller, which they have these like crazy
Rock formations.
rock formations. I love these things, and it's such a cool land. It's like being at Red Bull Rampage.
Okay, yeah.
Because the way these rocks form, it's like you have all these like caving in. Yeah, I was probably tripping at this time, but it is a fractal. Like you have all these like crazy like mountain formations, and you look at like little details in front of you. It's like the little version of what you see like in
Yeah.
the backgrounds, right? But anyway, so the land here was very different. It's very rocky. I say it's very close to like what you see in the Grand Canyons or something like that. In the States, right? So the furthest point I've gotten away from Vancouver was probably Drumheller. That was probably the
Like straight line distance.
yeah, straight line distance. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
furthest I've gotten away from home was Drumheller, and then I kind of looped my way to Calgary, and then hoping to do a little bit more towards south of Alberta, towards Lethbridge, Waterton, and then do some southern BC route back to Vancouver, essentially. So from this point in Drumheller, this was
Is it also Drumheller?
yes, this is Drumheller charging station. So
Is that your music that you're jamming out to?
no, this was some people were playing like punk music.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
I don't know what this was. Like it was right next to a bar. It was like in a park, right? And they
Yeah.
had this little hut there with like many outlets. Like so, I suppose some bands play there or something like that. It's
Oh, like some
set up as
performance area.
yeah, set up as a stage or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And there was just like punk music just playing all the time, and I didn't know what it was, but I never listened to punk either. But
Holy smokes.
kind of enjoyed it. So this is the kind of the rock formation that you see. Probably the trippiest you can probably get.
That's
in,
basically it's a Drumheller.
that is Drumheller.
Yeah.
So, but when you get to
Yes,
Drumheller,
go
you
back
just
to the
see a
stupid
little
spot.
town.
Look at that.
Yeah. So you have all these like mushrooms.
That's what
shaped-
Drumheller is known for, these mushroom style rock formations.
Yes, they're called hoodoos.
Yes.
HOODOO.
Yes.
right? So to go see the hoodoos, you have to go to this other part. Well, right next to the town of Drumheller, there's a place called the Something Creek. Right. So it's like a 10-kilometer ride out, and then you see the hoodoos. Unless for the hoodoos, you're gonna see all these like weird this rock formation thing
Yeah.
all over the place. But to see the hoodoos, you have to be at this place.
This one specific spot.
Yeah, exactly.
And what is this? Charging on someone's house?
Yeah, no, this is the golf course odd EV charging find.
Oh, you
that
got
I
an
have.
EV charger. Oh, sick.
Yeah, I believe this was in Rosebud, Alberta.
It's like a typical farmhouse. Like you see those horror movies.
Yeah,
That's
well,
like-
that's a country club, like a country club.
Nobody can
right?
save
So
you, like in the middle of the wilderness, and there's this like madman on the loose coming to find you. Sorry, I think I watched too much.
Somebody who looked like Johnny Depp, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And yeah, so anyway, the prairies isn't much of a story, but
Yeah.
look at these pictures. Imagine that, right? Straight ass roads for like 300 kilometers. Don't you love that?
Yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, I would get lost in the clouds if I was riding. I'd just be like, "Whoa."
yeah. So you're just kind of like zoning out for the entire rides, really, right?
Yeah.
And then yeah, I think this was and now in Calgary. So this was my camping spot in Calgary.
Okay.
So this was right at close to downtown, like right downtown is like.
So this is how you live rent free in an expensive city.
Yeah, exactly. So I parked myself in a bush on an island, right? And no one can see me. I just set up my, hammock very, modestly. And then coincidentally, I picked this spot just out of inspiration, right? Because it's kind of easy to get to. But apparently this was the waiting and meeting spot for all the EUC riders.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's called Memorial Bridge. Yeah, they
Okay.
call it Memorial Bridge. So yeah, there was another clip right after this. Yeah, so this was a group ride with the Calgary riders, and
YYC Scoot Gang.
yeah, this is one of those like parking lot cloud moments, right? You're like,
Wow.
oh my god, you're just zoning out. So I had a couple of good group rides with the Calgary riders, so I'll cover that with my full story later. But oh my god, these Sun Country chargers, they're the best. Free charging, and well, you got to pay for parking, but you're not paying really. For these things, but free charging for these things. And in Calgary, you have all these EV charging stations, but it kind of like suddenly rains, right? Because you're in the prairies, the weather changes so much. I had this like one charging stop here. I would charge up, and 30 minutes I get out, and it's like it was sunny, but I get out, it was like stormy, right? As if like I slipped through some like warm
Some portal
time, something like that. But yeah, some these underground parking lots served me very, very well on the charging maneuvers, I guess. And this was the 140-kilometer loop that I did with the Calgary riders. I think it's reserved still for the hardcore riders. You've done this loop, right? Around Calgary?
Yeah, I believe so. It goes down to like the Bow Park or something at the bottom.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was crazy fun, like, and probably iconic.
It's really iconic too because a lot of these paths they don't cross any roads.
Yeah.
So it's like you're not even in the city, but you are in the city.
Yeah. And crazy views and like some winding sections,
Yeah.
like hairpin turns.
Except
all that.
there was one time I was going through this windy section. I was like, I guess I was having too much fun.
Yeah.
And I'm just zipping through it, and then like this 90-degree corner comes out of nowhere, and I almost run right through into the bush.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything in front of it though, right? But it maybe had like a fence or something. That,
Yeah. But there's a lot
gotta
of
do
blind
that.
spots, so
Yeah.
like you can get caught off guard if you're having too much fun.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun, I guess. Then I would ride out to Fort McLeod,
Oh, this is the flat tire.
and then that took me out of this trip. End of story. But it was very fortunate for me to just arrive in a town, just pull over, for a charge, and then realize I had a flat. Right. Oh my god! If this happened like on one of those ranger roads,
Oh,
like
God.
like oh my god,
That would
suck for me.
Yeah, that would suck.
so bad. But I guess that's the end of the trip. I guess. Yeah. So I had to like call Albert and try to figure out if
So
I could
he-
get back on the road. But
yeah. So he ended up
there was
taking
no
a bus from Fort, I think it's McLeod. It's called.
Fort McLeod to Calgary,
Yeah.
and then another one from Calgary to Vancouver.
There you go.
Yeah. So that was the end of the trip. So I didn't make it back. So if I was in a simulation, this was the death scenario. You
Game
die.
over.
Yeah, you can't ride anymore. You're dead.
So we found out that the reason why he had a flat tire was just, I guess, due to some internal friction inside of his tire assembly.
Yep.
Which he could have passed with slime, but when you get a flat tire, you never know until you take it apart and find out.
Yeah. And I guess for to summarize this whole thing, like there were some lessons that I learned. The first lesson was you absolutely need tools to fix your flats or anything like that, right? I just carried like a very light set of tools. Like I even bought the same like screwdriver, the automatic screwdriver.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't even take it on the trip because I was thinking less weight in my head, right? But not knowing I needed to repair at some point.
Mm.
Duh. So always carry chargers, maybe a spare tube, right? And now this goes to the discussion of like
Tubeless versus tube.
Yeah, exactly. And listening to your story and all that, maybe if you had a backup tube, and if that doesn't work, you bring a
tubeless valve.
Tubeless valve and a full conversion kit. Maybe I would have made it back to Vancouver, no problem. Right?
I mean, at that point, you're just trying to collect as many options as you can.
Yeah.
So you can continue your trip.
Yeah, 100%. So
Yeah.
you could have like, yeah, you could have it just at the end, it's just more weight in your backpack. But if you can tolerate it, absolutely, yeah, because you want to be like independent really as much as you can probably.
Yeah.
For these trips, and yeah, if you're going extreme length, and yeah, if this happened like somewhere in the middle of those Forest Service roads, and if I was like 20 kilometers away from any civilization or any traffic, it really
Yeah.
like you're fucked really. So you just got to realize you're on your own for this thing. I'm pretty sure folks with decent imagination would imagine a scenario like that, right? Like you wouldn't just go into this thing blindly and kind of expect it to like work all maintenance free.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, also, I mean, just in general, our wheels aren't. I mean, I could say pretty confidently. I don't think any EUC really is reliable enough.
Yeah.
Like we're not at that point where it's like not something that we don't have to think about.
Yeah.
And so always having tools for any trips or whatnot is always much preferred.
100%.
Like when we went to Cumberland for trail riding, we brought extra wheels per person just so that our trip wouldn't be ruined if somebody had a wheel failure.
Right. So you can still ride.
So you can still have fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, extra tubes, tubeless valves, whatever you can to kind of keep you going. That's definitely very important.
Yeah, 100%.
Are there any other lessons learned that you got from this trip that you want to share with anybody who's interested in doing a longer ride?
Check your tire pressure every now and then. That's what took me out. I think. Oh yeah, there's a couple of things. It's not directly tied to riding, but I think for road trips like this, you do open your backpack, you take out your stuff a lot. So when you leave a spot, you want to check for any droppings of your belongings. It really helps because I've lost my electric pump. I lost what else was there? Like just really stupid stuff that you really need, for for a ride, right? So it's more about the riding is fine. Like, you can handle like all these riding time, charging, all that thing is good, but it's everything else in between that really gets you and just puts a roadblock on your riding. So yeah, checking your tire pressure, that's probably critical, which I kind of overlooked since I lost the pump, right? But I could have stopped at any gas stations and did the air pump.
Especially if you're covering like that much distance, it's always good to check your tubes I would say like every couple 100 kilometers or every month or so is what I would suggest.
Yeah, I didn't check it for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, because then if your tire pressure gets low over time, you may not notice it right away, and then that can cause catastrophic failure. Like either your valve stem will rip or it causes foldings or whatever.
Yeah.
So just again, like if you get a TPMS kit from PidZoom, that could be really helpful because at least you don't have to check it, but it's always being checked and it'll alert you if something's wrong.
Yeah. I mean, those high tech would kind of save you from all these manual labor you got to do.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it also gives you peace of mind.
Sure. Yeah, but I think for like camping setup and stuff like that, I mean, if you had the money, you could probably just stay at any hotels, but it would just cost you a lot, right? So now it comes down to like if you're camping, it just comes down to your preference for camping gear, I guess.
Yeah.
But I just chose a hammock because you didn't have to really carry like poles or extra those stuff that would kind of be like bulky in your backpack. Right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to like just save a little bit of space for packing more stuff, right? But it still doesn't allow you to like pack a lot of food, so you're independent from like eating out like every day, right?
So what would you like, since you had the Extreme Bowl GT Pro Plus, which already had like 4,400 watt hours, and it already had, I mean, we kind of set it up for 30 amp charging, and whatnot. It already has USB ports. It has speakers.
Yeah.
What else would you think that you'd want changed in a long range wheel to make it more ideal for this type of use?
I think the GT Pro Plus, the one I had, was it's a good package. Like at this point, you're just asking for more range for less weight, right? But that's just whole down to the
battery technology.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like everything else was fine. Like
any other creature comforts or
no? I think, I mean, there could have been like a little bit more additional stuff that I could have put on like on the wheel, like seats, because I didn't have a seat, because I was just riding on hard plastic the whole time, which I am kind of okay with, right? But I guess you would want to get more comfort into your rides, if possible, really. But yeah, I mean, the waterproof thing was just good, because you don't have to worry about like having your wheel under under a roof,
Yeah.
anything like that. So yeah, and in fact, I even left it on the rain a couple times. I camped outside and it got rained on, but I didn't have to worry about it. That's a that's a plus, really.
It's that waterproofing aspect is such a plus for 2024.
Yeah, I think
because wheels before 2024 weren't that well done.
Yeah,
and so just the fact that we don't have to worry about like just being rained on, I think is critical. It's huge. Yeah. That, again, peace of mind, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think
it's not like back in the day where you got to put the shower cap or cover
the shower cap. Or, a big banana leaves.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've done all that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the GT Pro Plus was a very good wheel. Like I wouldn't have chosen the Master Pro like on this trip because the waterproof ability or other issues that I had with it. So yeah, I think the range was very decent for being a 4,400 watt hour. I was kind of worried about the consumption of the C38 tile motor for being like power hungry. But unless you're doing crazy speeds, because because I'm only doing like half of the potential of the motor, right? Because if you can do 130, I was doing like 65 tops. Like shit, it got me through a lot, like distance wise, hills, no problem. Maybe like on a setup, maybe I could have used a knobby tire or something like that.
Oh, you'd prefer knobby, but then you'd probably lose some range though.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. So, but not being able, like, zero mud ability was, I guess,
challenging.
It can be a challenge because sometimes you just have a big patch of mud with no way around.
Yeah.
So that was the only thing, really. So
I mean, that's also because the GT Pro uses like the slickest tire. Like,
yeah,
you can barely see tread on this tire.
Yeah, and maybe I should get the ET Max tire for it.
Yeah, I mean, probably the ET Max tire would be like marginally better. But I mean, you can always put like a city grip. I think a city grip would do really well.
But okay, what's the difference between the city grip and the?
Oh, I can show you later. I have one downstairs.
Okay.
Yeah. But the city grip has really good tread blocks. But because it's not like a full-on knobby, it probably won't get that range hit as much.
Right. Okay.
Because range is still paramount. Like, you still need a huge amount of range to be able to do what you want to do.
Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you scout out your charging locations prior, then you kind of know what to play with. But
okay,
yeah, having all that would be great, I think.
I mean, since we're at the end of the trip, I guess we can wrap this up in around 13 minutes. Make it a perfect 1 hour and 30-minute live stream.
Sure.
Did you guys out there who is listening have any questions for Eugene in terms of tackling or what kind of prep work he had to do or his camping gear setup? Anything specific that you want to know, just write in the comments and we'll get to them.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of questions. Did you have a modified charge board? It's not a modified charge board, right?
No, it's not. Well, it is modified. It's just bypassed.
Yeah, bypassed.
Yeah.
So all that was done prior to the trip. So and thank you for Albert for finishing that off in 3 days, because it was 3 days after I bought the GT Pro and I just thought about the trip for the.
It was very impromptu.
It was. Yeah. So I can't thank you enough for that.
Would you do it again?
Would I do it again? Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you were to do it again, would you change the route you took, or would you change the strategy you had?
I think strategy-wise, I don't think there's going to be a huge difference. Maybe if I'm going solo, then I'll probably pick maybe I'll try out a different setup for camping. Like, that's because the paramount to me, right? I don't want to pay $400 a night.
Yeah.
Banff or whatever. So that's just kind of different. But the only strategy I would change, in terms of route, I only chose the Whistler, the northern BC route, because I haven't done it. So, and I've done all the Coquihalla, everything else was fine, right? So if I could find a route that has enough charging opportunities and stops that I could make, which I haven't done or others haven't done, I would happy to take that. but I don't think there is one. So so that would kind of I'll just kind of go through the same thing. But all that route was very, very beautiful to go through. But maybe there is a couple of turns that I could take that would go straight to Jasper, not through Banff. There's one called the Clearwater area, but I don't know. Maybe at some point in the future there will be a better, longer range wheel that will allow a different route, something like that. But currently, I think
So the route is limited by the wheel currently. You
the
would say
wheel, essentially.
that? Yeah, okay. Is there any other wheel other than the GT Pro Plus you would take in today's age, like based on what's out right now?
Well, for the range or what's possible, maybe the Master Pro. Yeah, I think that's doable because I have done a longer range. I think it was a 1,000-kilometer ride with my buddy, both on Master Pro, and that was fine. Like if you keep a good pace and stuff like that. But if you want to go crazy fast or solo or just do whatever you want, you got to have that top speed as well, right? Because being limited at 80 or 90 for the Master Pro is like.
I mean, for the most part, you're only going 60, right? So, I mean, being even if it can only go 80 or 90, if you're going 60, 65, it's totally fine.
Yeah, it's just I guess it's a personal preference thing, but just knowing that the fact that you can do 130 if you wanted to is a luxury. Like you're not worried about cutouts.
Yeah. So it's peace of mind.
It sure is. Like when you're going downhill on those like really crazy, like say Coquihalla Highway, or something like that. You don't want to worry about cutouts. Like just even having that little thought would be like, because if you have the higher top speed, all you're worried about is your skill.
Yeah, correct.
So it's a luxury to have, right? But it's not a necessity, really. But so Master Pro, GT Pro Plus. I say I wouldn't trust myself on the GT Pro, not the Plus version.
Well, I mean, there's no point. It's
it's
only 3,000 watt hours.
Yeah,
you're not getting anywhere fast or far.
Yeah, so that's not gonna cut it. Yeah. And is there other wheel that
Sherman L?
What's the
4,000 watt hour? But I mean, you're coming down from like 4,008 to 4,004 to 4,000.
Right. I mean, I know I'm personally a fan of the Leapercam engineering. Like they have like good solid range out of it. Yeah, and I think that was my wheel of choice in Thailand as well. Sherman S at the time, and you can get like good 150 kilometers out of it, like for charge, right? So I enjoyed a lot of that. So yeah, maybe Sherman L could do it.
Yeah,
if you had the fast charger, that's absolutely the necessity because you want to cut down the charging time as much as you want, or you can essentially. So maybe those 3 wheels for the summary, I guess, for this entire.
So maybe you need to find 2 other people to come ride with you, and then you guys can do like a race,
right?
A race to Calgary and back, and then see what wheel reigns supreme.
So not like as a group, but you're
like separately. You're racing,
right?
And see who can get there and back fast. Like when they do those EV range tests.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Sure.
See who arrives at the hotel the last.
Right.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
That'd be kind of cool. It's like a cannonball.
If anybody's down for that kind of experience,
I think Distortion 888 would probably be into it, and so would Rogue Travel.
Rogue Travels.
I mean, his channel name sounds very fitting. Even my EUC journey, sounds very fitting as well.
Sure.
Can we get a Falcon wheel change swap? Yeah, I mean, at some point. I mean, life's just really busy, and we haven't had time. So, like right now, we're in this new Studio S thing, and we're looking to move into this house. So right now we're really busy with the move.
Yeah.
We had just set this up temporarily in this space just for the Wrong Way live stream.
This is a really nice setup.
Yeah, it was put together in like a day.
Are these functional, by the way?
Wheels? Yeah, they're all functional wheels.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Look at that,
eh? We actually just finished filming our engagement wedding photos with the wheels, videos with the wheels.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So that's again another thing that we've been busy with because we're getting married in February.
Right.
So a lot of this time is like wedding planning and getting everything sorted and whatnot. So no promises, but after the wedding is over, I'll definitely have more time. Especially since we're busy with getting ready for the Bigode race in December.
Right.
So it's
Right.
another huge thing on our plate that we're kind of help organize and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, like, I would love to do all these videos, but time is very limited.
Sure.
Yeah. Are there any other videos or requests or questions that you guys have?
I had no idea people are using stock pads on this. Did I go with stock pads on my GT Pro? Yes,
You did,
I
yeah. Except that the stock pads don't even work that well. Like that rear one doesn't look like it's for that wheel. It doesn't fit properly. The rear pad.
Oh, the design is like off a little bit.
Yeah, it's
so
off.
It kind of rips, right? Like the Velcro doesn't stick too good.
Yeah.
But I did notice myself using those stock pads very efficiently, and I think it's great. Like you have like so much like space in between the back pad and the front pad.
Yeah.
But and the wheel is like unusually like long. Like
it's
forward and backwards.
huge.
Yeah, it's thick. Thick with two C's. But yeah, it's perfect for kind of shifting your butt around for like finding the optimal riding I guess angle for your feet and everything. And by having those two like space like front and the back, it just made a lot of sense. Like when you're standing and going forward, you're like, I'm scooched over to the front of the machine and kind of using the front pad. And when I'm being really chill or like turning hard or whatever, something like that, I can lean back. It goes pretty far back, so it kind of get tight. It takes time to get used to it, but yeah, once you kind of learn with it, there's nothing that obstructs or kind of traps your leg in there. Kind of having to like do a workaround. It made a lot of sense to me, and I'm just gonna take this opportunity to say that the handle design they have, the whatever they call it, the roll cage or the
red stuff.
Yeah, the red stuff. That whole design makes a lot of sense to me because I grab the handle as I'm riding.
I mean, you see, it makes a lot of sense, but you flip the handle around too.
Oh, the way it came was kind of funny, but it's fixable, right? You just gotta take it off and turn it the other way.
Yeah.
But
so it's better when it's turned the other way.
Yeah, and I don't know why not very many people do this, but grabbing the handle while riding it just adds like so much more dynamics to your riding, and especially seated riding, right? Because you don't have to use all your leg power to like squeeze the wheel to ride, but you can also maneuver it with your hands like this,
like a steering wheel.
Yeah, as if you're riding like I don't know, some kind of like some what is it, roller coaster things or one of those like I don't know, whatever, but it's crazy fun like using the handle, right? So I don't know if the engineers at Extreme Bowl put this for like functional use or
I'm pretty sure it's all design.
But they're onto something, I feel like, because there are some wheels that have no handles, like, right, and that's like horribly scary for me to ride at this point.
I mean, I think we can see that the trend of 2024 is also that all wheels have handles now.
Yeah.
Like and even the Falcon has handles, and it's so small.
Yeah.
But
it's still like if there's something to grab onto, like this was like one of the techniques that I used to like eliminate wobbles, right? Because if you pull that handle up, it'll just kill it, kill the wobble like so fast. And that's how I got out of that Sea to Sky
highway wobble.
Yeah, because fucking I was doing like 70 and I hit this pothole doing like wobbles at 70. And it started like growing. I'm like, oh, grab the handle, done.
There you go. Yeah. Top tip.
It sure is.
If you get wobbles, grab the handle and lift up.
Yeah, and it helped me with the race that I attended in Thailand too. Like everyone's battling their wobbles like just with their legs, but I'm like leaning forward with the handle in my hand, like, and just like it looked pretty funny probably when I'm doing it. But I have wobble-free racing experience from it.
And he was racing a master.
And I was on a master going against Lynx.
Yeah.
And they would just blow right past me on the straights. But like because I had the wobble-free kind of technique, I guess I did very well on the corner, that I cut down the time so much so that I was only like 0.15 seconds from first place.
Wow.
On the master. So yeah, having no wobbles is quite critical, I think. And the way, just learning the way to kill it, really.
Yeah.
There you go.
The blue proper aesthetic is too cool. I mean, we should put up like a poll, like, hashtag
Mhm.
purple or hashtag blue?
The blue.
Because I think there's people on both sides of the cap that like blue and people that love purple.
Mhm.
I think Christine's sitting in the middle. It's just a really good split. Like,
Yes. I love this studio, man.
Yeah.
Man, this should be my wheel.
Which
I
one,
was
the
the
Falcon?
gold guy, but
the blue, you're turning to
chrome
blue.
looks really good too.
You're stealing ideas.
Yeah.
So you got 10 seconds left. So I guess we're gonna wrap this up. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you for listening.
Where can they find you?
I am Dirty Sherman on Instagram or YouTube.
There you go.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any extra questions or things that come up, go and hit him up, give him a follow, and he'll post more information about his adventures.
Yeah, all my videos I have like 6 terabytes of data that I'm dealing with right now. So as I get all these edited out, I'll post them in a series. So if you're very curious, do drop me a follow or toss me any questions. I would love to give you feedback or get some ideas from that feedback to get for a video idea or something like that. So thank you so much for listening.
And you heard it here. If you ever want to go on this trip, just come to Vancouver and hit up Eugene because he is down to do it again.
Or any shorter rides, I guess. Would do. I've done the longest ride ever. So
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for watching. See you guys next time.